Four Midwest Guys presents...
Here we go!
I've got a mission for you.
This should be good.
Blend in, find out who's loyal to the good guys and who isn't.
Star Wars Resistance Decoded.
You can work on my team.
Get ready to be impressed! You've got to be kidding me!
Hello everybody and welcome back to Four Midwest Guys Presents Star Wars Resistance Decoded. I am your host, B. Willie, and as you can see I'm flying solo. That's actually done intentionally. As you know, the Star Wars Resistance, we didn't even finish last season, even after it started getting good, because I had a really hard time at the time reviewing them. There wasn't a lot to talk about. To me, Star Wars Resistance is very much more for the younger crowd than it is for the adult crowd, or even the young adult crowd for that matter. It's nothing like its predecessors, the Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels or anything like that. So we kind of decided to shelve it and discontinue it. However, I feel that it seems to me that season 2 is going to be better. And it's also the last season. So I feel like we did all this production work for it, and I think that it's only fitting that I promise you that I will review every episode. They may be very short because I may not have much to talk about, and if that's the case, then that's what you'll get. But I'm going to do my best, and I will review every episode. If they get a really good episode, and I think it, I'll ask Mr. Rankenbauer to join me, and we'll break it down thoroughly, just like we did the Rebels episodes together. And because I think it would warrant it. But right now, for the episodes that don't, you're just going to see me be real quick, simple, sweet, and simple, just kind of like this one's going to be, without the explanation. So, with that in mind, let's get started. So, I actually saw this episode back when I went to Star Wars Celebration Chicago. We went to the Star Wars Resistance panel, me and my daughter, and this is the episode they showed us. And I've kept my mouth shut for the most part. I've leaked a little bit here and there, but so here's my review of Season 2, Episode 1, Into the Unknown. So the Colossus comes back out of hyperspace, where, that's kind of where we left off, is they jumped into hyperspace where they're being shot at, trying to escape the planet. So they're hoping to get somewhere close to Dakar, but, Niku didn't have all the complete coordinates. So hopefully they get somewhere close. They come out, they're in the middle of nowhere, but they figure they're about 3 parsecs, he said, away from Dakar is what they figure out. So they're close, which is a good thing, because Dakar is probably under attack right now. If you think about the timeline that we're in, what we saw in the last episode of Season 1, Episode 2, the 2-part, we saw them blow up Hosnian Prime. That was kind of like the big thing. So we're still in the Force Awakens time period, probably, but it's more towards the end of the movie, and we know Last Jedi picks up right after Force Awakens and maybe lasts a day, 2, maybe 3. It's kind of hard to tell. So I got a feeling that they're going to be close to the Resistance, and they're going to be close to what's going on in the Force Awakens time period as well as the Last Jedi, but they'll never be there until they get to the end. So that kind of puts in perspective for you, and I think since there's supposed to be, I think, 17 episodes in this season, and it is October 6th now, and we only get 1 episode for the next 16 weeks, let's just say, in a row, then that's going to take us well beyond the opening of the Rise of Skywalker. So I don't think you're going to see this series necessarily set up Rise of Skywalker, unfortunately, if that's what you're thinking. However, it does look good as far as, again, the previews do. But let's stick to, I digress, and let's stick to the episode itself. So they're having all kinds of engineering issues. Obviously, it took some damage. There was a funny scene with Kaz messing with the gravity. Everybody's having a great time in the bar, flying around, floating around, as it were, and he keeps turning it on and off. They keep hitting the floor, keep going back up. It is a little bit funny. It wasn't bad. My biggest problem, though, is the same thing I had from last season. Kaz is still the idiot. He's your main hero, but he's still the bumbling fool. And that just doesn't work for me, especially in Star Wars. I wish they would show some character growth and show him growing up a little bit. He mentions that Hosnian Prime has been destroyed and he doesn't know if his parents are alive or not. But it's just kind of mentioned, and they're like, oh, you made the difficult choice. You made the only choice, Kaz, blah, blah, blah. And he just kind of tucks it. I guess I don't know, maybe he's in shock or he's just, stowing it deep down inside. Maybe that's the case. But there's no real sense of loss other than that. And again, I think maybe it's because it's aimed for little kids. But I would like to see some growth. I'd like him to use that as hey, I can't be a goofball anymore. I have to take the lead. I got to take control of this group. My friends need me. I have to rise to the occasion, be the hero and step up. And he's still not stepping up. Even throughout this episode, they have to battle the evil BB-8 droid from the First Order, and he can't even do that hardly. Not without a lot of help from his friends and the other droid. There's no growth there. And I just don't like the character. In fact, it's been 6 months since I've seen the episode, and I kind of forgot how much I dislike Kaz until I saw this episode again just recently, just a few hours ago. So yeah, that's still my biggest problem with this series. They really need to develop Kaz, at least, even if it's for kids, they can at least show him stepping up and being the leader and not being so much the bumbling fool. He can stumble a little bit from time to time, that's fine, but just the way they have him screaming all the time. He was screaming in terror from the BB-8 unit that, from shocking him, and they tried to make this episode like Aliens. Like they had like this creepy, ooh, he's in the background, you see the red light on it, it just didn't work. That didn't work for me either. I will say one good thing though about it. It still was more action packed than the first half of the first season we got. So that's good. It wasn't quite as much as, the climax of season 1, but it shouldn't be. So it steps down, but at least there was action all the way through the episode. So the episode moved quickly, and that was good. So, I just can't get past the Kaz character, man. I really just can't. Anyway, but we'll see what happens. And I will say again, the trailer looked good. They released like a preview during the commercial break for the upcoming season. We got to see the Aces take on more TIE fighters out in space against the First Order. And it looks like they might even take on the Star Destroyer itself at one point. Looks pretty cool. Looks like they're going to go off world. We're going to go to multiple worlds, so we're not stuck on the water planet. I think all these things are going to help the series, and I think hopefully if they can just help Kaz take that step forward, I think it would be great. I think I can handle it better. And the one thing I wish they would really use is those kids from Dahar. The boy has super strength, and the girl has visions in her dreams. I think they're tied to the Force. I've always said they were tied to the Force. We always saw was the talisman from last season, which I still got a picture of there, luckily. And, they ended up going to one of their home worlds that had that talisman on it. And you could see where the First Order had drained their sun and test fired, the weapon of Starkiller Base at a lower yield. But that's all we've got since they introduced the kids, and we saw that they had abilities and powers they've been revealing. Like the girl can see in her dreams the future. That needs to be present. That needs to be heavily involved going forward, I think, for the series to be successful in season 2, because they are the only connection that this series has to the Force. And I know there are people out there that are all about just about the wars and about the action of Star Wars. To me, Star Wars isn't Star Wars without some element of the Force in it. And granted, the Solo film had very little Force connection in there, unless you saw the end of the movie. And it was still a good movie, but it still wasn't great Star Wars movie because there was no Force. There's no mythology. There's no deeper connection there. And that's, I think that's what they need to, I'm hoping that they dive deeper into that, especially this being the last season. So we'll see what happens there as well. So as you can see, that's all that I have. That's all I have to talk about. Again, there's really, if anything, I spent most of the time talking about my format. that I'm going to go forward with, and other things about what's coming in trailers and stuff. So you can see these reviews are going to be very short until I find an episode that I believe is worthy of longer, more detailed format like we used to do with Rebels. So in that case, hopefully I can get Brian to join me and we can really dig deep. But that's been my review of Season 2, Episode 1, Into the Unknown for Star Wars Resistance Decoded. I've been your host, B. Willie, and may the Force be with you always.